Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Today, Diane and I are going to try to ship some of our winter stuff. Diane got big coats like this and several sweaters back to Cincinnati. I don't know if it'll free up any space in our car, but it will free up some space in our bags. Man, I took several things back to Albuquerque the other day and this car is still jammed. This is what you call almost done. We're about to wrap this up. Got everything hooked back up. Fan didn't work because the wire to the back of the fan switch to the fan motor is too short. Had to go make an extension connector instead of hardwiring it in case it ever has to come out. We'll have an extension, add 2-3 inches to it. So you might want to be ready to do this when you do this job now, because they're sending the fan motors with wires too short, trying to save a half a cent per unit. Had some sticky stuff on the car, so I had to stop at California Car Wash, Sacramento, California. Man, this place is a disappointing ripoff compared to what I'm used to. Change machine work, that's good. I come over here, it says 25. I thought that meant 25 cents on start it. It's $2.50 to start it. Gotta look up there. Then, for $2.50, you only get 4 minutes. None of these settings work over here because they're all deactivated. I tried those because normally those are pre-washed, tire soak, all that stuff. You only get that. Now their foamy brush, man, that freaking foamy brush was abrasive at best. So I got my hood kind of clean, got the sticky stuff off the front, got the windshield kind of clean, but as you can see, I ran out of 4 minutes before I could get my car done. I'm not putting another $2.50 in there. I'll just live with it like this till I find a better spot. Thank you. Guess where we are, party people? Bam! Back at the facility. We're gonna get on this white 850 wagon, get the timing belt done, or most of it. We got parts in, they gotta be delivered to me. Got to do the cam seals, fix the battery cable, try to pump some fuel out of it. This thing should be done tomorrow morning. Let's get cracking. Now I know why I couldn't find my tools sitting out here and my wire brush. Anyway, positive cable has issues. Now this cable's been repaired by somebody. I don't know, well, I take that back. They added some kind of power off the positive feed, which may or may not be good. But that goes back to the fuse box. I gotta cut that off and put a jack on that because that's messed up. Then we had a front cam seal leak. So we got all this stuff loose up here, and I went and purchased a couple of cam seals from the dealer. Get that done. Then we're gonna pull that water pump off because it has evidence of leaking, and it's an aftermarket pump. That's aftermarket. Tensioner's probably the only thing that's not aftermarket down there. So let me get cracking on this stuff, and I'm supposed to get the parts dark 30 in the morning to put this back together. Hopefully everything else will be done. This thing will be rocking and rolling, besides all that aftermarket ignition stuff. Man, this looks horrible on my camera. First thing I'm gonna do is pull these cam sprockets back off, try to get these cam seals out. They don't look like they're falling out, but they're leaking, especially this exhaust one. The person that did this belt didn't know what they were doing with timing. They just put random marks on the sprockets. Probably why they put in these aftermarket seals that were leaking. You know, that seal might have been leaking from the time it was put in. But if I can't get it out, I'm gonna have to find my drill real quick and drill through that seal. I don't have my seal removal tools, and man, it's just made a mess down there. Let's try to get this off real quick. I forgot this hose was in a bad shape. I think I got one with me, but somebody's got plastic jammed in there trying to get that to stop leaking, which is the craziest thing I've seen for a coolant leak yet. Instead of finding my drill, I thought it'd be quicker to take my little punch here I found, punch a hole in the edge of that seal like I would drill, screw that screw in there and pull it out. It worked like a champ. Let me get that other one out. I got the hole already there. I took that little pointy screwdriver and tapped it in with a hammer. Knocked a hole in that seal to start it off. Here we go, folks. Volvo cam seals. I don't know why this number is different than this number, but this should be the front cam seal. I'm gonna grab my tool, lubricate it, put them in. Man, it's like the golden rule. I only use parts on your car that I would use on mine. I don't want to put garbage on there. It's just not worth it. Be here a couple years down the road with some aftermarket seals just like this. You'll be paying somebody or the dealer $1,200 to have it done again. Man, just get it done right the first time. I don't know why people bother these. If they're not leaking, I leave them alone. Mine went all the way until I did a cylinder head job, 375,000 miles. There's only 3 times I do a cam seal job. 1, if I got the head torn apart. 2, if somebody has some garbage aftermarket seals in there. And 3, if they're leaking. Other than that, I let sleeping dogs lie. I used a large pry bar to push the exhaust one in. Tap this one in with my sledge with the tool. Now I'm ready to jack the car, but the jack is smashed closed. So I'm gonna open that up and show you guys the jacking point again. Can't believe people are still destroying these jacks and making these things unsafe. Unsafer than they already are. Get a screwdriver or something, pry that back open. And this hooks on the piece that tows the whole side of the car on right there. Under the front door, about halfway up the front door. This hooks on there like that. Now you jack it up. And make sure your pad for your jack pivot point is right under that as a pivot point. That's the safest thing to do. Front wheel's off the ground. You see how the jack is positioned? Still on that stud with the pivot point right under it. I got wheel stops under there, parking brake set, back wheels off the ground. I recommend you grease this screw for the jack. Help it not bind up, not wear this cheap stuff out over here. Metal and plastic, work smoother. Let's get this wheel off, get this water pump off, start cleaning that up. There wasn't nothing in this coolant reservoir. As you can see, it's all cracked up. I had one that I was going to replace it with, but I ended up selling it to somebody else. I am going to check, see if there's any coolant in the system, because that reservoir was empty doesn't mean the system's empty, because coolant doesn't evaporate. Now they was playing coolant roulette there with that hose, but let's put a pan under there, drain the radiator, see what we get out of there. Nice, it's got a Volvo drain cock on there, and that hose looks like it's in good shape. Wow, that looks like straight up water. Let's see what it feels like. Somebody was running water in there. This thing's probably all rusted up on the inside. That's bad, man. If you can't run coolant in there, quit driving it. Bad to have water sitting in there, especially how long this car's been parked. Yep, that looks like straight up water. HDs, man, I had forgotten. And that's that mount, front engine mount. When it gets saturated with oil, the oil just eats the rubber away, so that thing needs to be replaced. I'm gonna raise the engine a little bit so I can have clearance to do that water pump. It probably has a black gasket on there. And this is that cheap idler that came off of there, aftermarket, made in Japan. NPK. I don't know the quality of these. I can't verify them. Feels good though. Feels real good. Let me go ahead, raise this engine, get this water pump out. I don't know if that's a glob or something or oil pan repair. Ooh, gotta be careful with this. This oil pan has been repaired. See that? Somebody put JB Weld or something on it. Fixed it. So I really can't be jacking on this oil pan or it might crack it, because it's already been fixed once. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Unless I could put something under this other part of the engine under here and jack it up, because I don't want to crack that oil pan. Got all 7 of those bolts out. I don't even know what some of the stuff is on these bolts. This one has a ring around it or some goop or something. One of them had this little lizard turd hanging off of it. Man, I don't know who put this thing on. They must have thought this was a Chevy or a Camry or something. So I'm gonna go ahead once and for all tell you guys the only 3 pumps that I will put on your Volvo. White block. I'll put a Volvo pump from the dealer that says Volvo on it. Came from the dealer Volvo pump. I'll put an Asian pump that you purchase from a parts place that sells Volvo parts. It needs to really look like a genuine Asian pump and not some knockoff that somebody replicated somewhere. And number 3, I'll put a Volvo or Asian pump on there that you get from a parts supplier that sells parts for Volvo or Asian. I'm not putting anything. I'm not putting Hepu on there. I'm not putting G&B on there. I'm not putting Graph. I'm not putting nothing on there unless it's an Asian or Volvo pump, man. I'm not trying to be arrogant or nothing like that, but I consider myself a P80 Volvo specialist. Most people have told me that. That's why I consider myself that. People calling me from all over the world. Dealers call me with questions about these cars. I'm not going to put no junk on there. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just using what I consider golden rule. Do to other people what you would have other people do to you. Some of these pumps cost the same. You pay $60, $70, $80 for a knockoff pump that won't last 10,000 miles. Why would somebody sell a part that won't last the change interval of the system? The system is designed to last 70,000 miles in between maintenance for safety purposes and keeping the engine running. Why would somebody make a pump that only lasts 5,000-10,000 miles? It makes no sense. I'm not going to put it on there. I don't want to do that to you. By buckling in and putting that on there, that's like co-signing and saying, hey, I agree it's a good pump. No, I'm not going to do it. Pop the pump loose. Look at that rust coming out of there. I knew there'd be rust in here somewhere. Running water in the coolant system. Yep. Hole inside of the pump rusted. And the freeze plug probably froze on it, leaking. You can't run this stuff, man. And it's binding up on here. Real tight. It's ridiculous. Now this is probably the only time I would recommend a coolant flush to somebody. Look at all that rust in there from running water only. And just to put the cherry on top, we got the black gasket, folks. Whoop whoop! All over the engine block. Finally ready. Smooth as a baby's bottom. That corner up there had a piece of gasket on there. It took me a while to find it, get it off. But it's okay to have a stain on there, but it's not okay to have a gasket. When you run your finger around there, it should feel perfectly smooth. Then you're ready to put on the new pump. Started this morning at 6 a.m. at the job site. About there, 6:10. It is now 7:30 p.m. I'm gonna wrap this up, call it a day. Be out here at 7 in the morning. So, wake up bright and early, we'll get cracking. Appreciate you watching. I got this Toaxi Wave. It looks like a solar battery pack, has USB options on it. I don't know how old this is. One of my viewers gave it to me. Looks like you could charge it with a mini micro USB, and it can charge other things with the 2 USB ports. Like I said, I don't know how old it is. It's maybe used up, but I'm gonna go ahead and plug my phone into it. My phone is down to 17%, and I'm running my GPS and other things. I'm gonna see how much this will charge my phone up before it conks out. Let's see if we got power on it. It's going across. I don't know what that means. Also has flashlight. I could turn it on and run the flashlight till it dies. Let me go ahead and plug my phone into it and see how much juice I get out of it before it dies. I'm down to 16%. I plugged my USB deal into it. It does not say it's trying to charge my phone. Let me try it in the other port there. Ah, yeah, I'm getting charged now. But it's only got one blue light, so I'm assuming this thing is already jacked up and dying. Needs to be replaced. But it did have a decent flashlight on it. LEDs. Let's see what happens before it dies. And I'm going to use my GPS to get to where I'm going.